9:06.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
The Geek Show.
Joining us today from The Geek Show, it's MsBehaviour. G'day there, Ms B.
Good morning, Wammo.
Nice to see you once again, and do check out the live video stream if you're near your computer right now, or you can catch us on demand a little bit later on as well. But if you are near your computer, perhaps it is time to start thinking about working smarter, Ms B, and not harder.
Yeah, well, it all comes down to being lazy, really, or as I call it, lazily productive.
Huh.
Because it's, when you set up your own business, you want to put as many hours in as you can, and you end up putting all the hours in that you can, and then you get to a point where you realise that it's not about how long you're there for, it's about what you get done while you're there. So there's, I'm going to be doing a couple of workshops next Thursday at the Survive and Thrive conference in Auckland. So if anyone wants to come along and hear me talk about this in more depth, I'll be running those in the afternoon. And you can find out more information at The Big Idea at thebigidea.co.nz/survive-thrive.
Great. So right now we're going to get a little bit of a preview of your chat.
You are indeed, yes. And while I was looking around preparing the subject, I found a really good article which I was going to run through this morning with you. But first my thoughts on this, because when you're talking about setting goals and everything, people say, you've got to have SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So playing around with that idea, I've got the thoughts that really it's more for working in a smart way. It's about being social. So use your social networking, use those online relationship building tools, because you don't have to leave the home. Obviously, you want to go out and see people face to face to solidify those bonds, but there's so many ways now of reaching people without the rigmarole of having to arrange times to see people face to face. Then you've got to measure things and manage things, and there's plenty of tools which we'll talk about on that, which we do on this show on a regular basis.
Yeah. You've
got to have the right attitude, and pretty much being lazy cuts it, because you're always looking for quicker and easier ways to do things. And the way I see it is, if you're going to do a task more than once, you have to think, can you automate it or can you delegate it? So it's a big... Yeah,
but this kind of goes against, all the rules that we've always been told. You've got to work hard. You've got to, stick at it. This whole idea of things coming too easy, you've got to be aware of. That's what we're brought up with.
Well, it's a very puritanical view, isn't it? I think it's very Victorian, and I think it's a hangover from the industrial age, because in the information age, it's about using your brain and about being clever with the time you have. And people don't want to be spending their whole lives at work anymore, especially Generation Y. They're a lot more sensible, they're a lot smarter about their attitude to work, that it's part of their lives, but it's not that what defines them.
Yeah.
So the right attitude is key to this. Then you've got the relationship building side of things, which is really, really important, because a lot more now these days, instead of growing large companies and having your name on the sides of buildings, it's more about collaborating with other small working teams like yourselves, so that you can grow by working with them. And then tools. Obviously, there's really good tools out there, which we talk about every few weeks here. I usually do a roundup of the right kind of tools. So, don't forget, you can mine all of the shows that we've done to date with time measurement tools and, online social media tools. And finding the right toolkit before you start going into working hard is really key. So I think a lot of it's about thinking about how you're going to approach the work you need to do before you go diving into it. I mean, the joke is that if you've got to dig a hole, you've got two types of people. You've got the sort of people who'll grab a spade and they'll dive in that hole and they'll dig as hard as they can. Or you've got people like me who'll take a step back and go, maybe I could hire a digger to do this. So,
yeah.
So looking at the article, it's talking about maximum gain, minimal effort. And that's something that I have at the back of my mind always when I'm thinking about this. Is there any way that I can get the same result at the same quality without putting so much effort in? And it's also known as the 80-20 rule that we hear about, so that 20% of motorists cause 80% of accidents, 20% of your clients bring in 80% of your money. This rule fits in lots of different contexts.
That's a really interesting question to ask yourself, and this article that you're talking about does ask that. Which 20% of sources are causing 80% of your problems and unhappiness.
Yeah, or 80% of your solutions and your happiness. You know, it cuts both ways. So, yeah, this is the thing. I think when people are in workflow and they've got deadlines, they've got clients waiting for stuff, and you know, you're in that kind of hamster wheel that it can get. You don't have the headspace to take a step back and go, hang on, you know, am I putting my effort into the right place here? And there's a lot of talk about starting lean startups, but really the next stage is to try and grow a lean business. In order to do that, you really have to think about how can you grow without having to take on lots more people, spend lots more money on equipment, get bigger offices and so on. And a lot of it is about working collaboratively with smaller, flexible teams and making sure that the people you choose are the people who give you that 80% of results for 20% of management time. So, yeah, it's the Pareto principle is also the other thing that it gets called. And, you know, there's a guy, Tim Ferriss, who wrote the 4-Hour Work Week. He's pretty much, you know, taking this into the middle of everything he does. And he says he only works 4 hours a day a week. And he's the kind of guy who actually doesn't consider what we would consider work. So, you know, I'm not sure if he really does only do 4 hours. But this is the key thing. And people, I have noticed, people who have kids get like this. As soon as you have kids and you have this enormous responsibility and all this extra time you have to spend with them, they get very, very efficient. Because you have to. You can't stay late. You have to be out the door to go and pick up your kids and so on. And, you know, it's an attitude thing. How can I get the job done in the minimal amount of time with the minimal amount of effort and yet still do a high-quality result? So what this article calls it is the min-max rule, minimum effort, maximum gain. And they say that, you know, every time you set down goals and priorities, have this at the back of your mind that can you do this quicker? Can you do this more efficiently? And it's really simple stuff, really. Focus on your tasks that use your strengths. If you're not good at doing the task that needs done, can you delegate it to somebody? Can you automate it? Do you have to, you know, maybe outsource it to somebody? Reusing past work. Now, this is something as a sort of reporter I do a lot. Is picking a topic, reporting on it, but using the same research for different outcomes. So, for example, I might write a column, I might do a geek show on it, I might decide to, you know, work it up into a podcast. But fundamentally, I'm covering the same topic. I'm just putting it in different formats. Batch processing. This is something I do a lot of. If you have to, for example, contact people, or you have to do your invoices, or you have to, there's various tasks that you have to do regularly just to keep the business ticking over. But it can be quite difficult if you're trying to do it scattergun, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. So what I do is I kind of block batch my week up to do the similar tasks in a similar chunk of time, and divvy up the week so that I do on a Thursday, for example, that's when I get all my invoices out. Mondays and Tuesdays are usually meetings and Skype calls, so that I'm in the right headspace at the right time to do that kind of work. Yeah. Because again, as when you run a small company, you have to wear so many different hats, and you know, changing between one hat and the other can be really difficult.
Well, I look forward to you expanding on all those points at the Survive and Thrive Fueling the Business of Creativity. It's a forum, expo, workshops, networking, and all the deets for that up at thebigidea.co.nz.
That's right, and I look forward to seeing people there.
And, of course, you can view this video once again up at thegeekshow.com, 2 3s rather than 2 E's, and also continue the conversation with Ms. B on Twitter as well, twitter.com/MsBehaviour. See you next time, Ms. B.
See you soon.
Time now is 25 minutes.